The symbolism of smoking objects. I'm gonna wait until Mary's back.
I think it's an extremely profound chapter. Just mind blowing. I don't know if we're getting into the reading yet, or just giving our brief initial thoughts.
Yeah, that's good point. Let's actually just give our initial thoughts first, so we can ease into it.
Well, at the very beginning, on the second paragraph, where it says, to use an analogy in the physical sciences, the failure to decode and comprehend the ultimate goal objective of an evolved behavioral system is tantamount to present day physicists attempting to analyze the physical universe without Einstein's E equals mc squared, the theory of relativity. It's hard. It's hard to even continue to deal with anything without first dealing with this, without first at least understanding that, hey, there was a systematic contumacious plot orchestrated by a group of highly intellectual psychiatrists, psychologists, yes, Aristophanes, Hippocrates, whomever, all those boys, Freud. This was not just some serendipitous kind of anomaly that occurred and happened, and now we're in this situation. No, there was, what does she call it? Ultimate goal objective. Deep. And without breaking down this ultimate objective, which is obviously to dehumanize, to destroy, to control, to take, and to dominate, to even approach that is tantamount to trying to analyze the physical universe without the theory of relativity. So we're way, you guys, you got us way ahead of the curve, I think. And I think that there should be 100, hundreds of people in this group.
That's the plan eventually. That's the plan, is to just grow and grow. We are on the London front. We have plans to like increase membership. I've only gotten free like for the last 2.5 weeks. I've been busy every single day, every morning, every night, busy working on a movie that we just finished. We finished the film on Friday. I finished my involvement on Saturday, and now it's in post-production. So it's up to all of us to like get people who are interested to just say who come into the meetings and participate. That's a good start, and getting hundreds of people, just inviting people that we know, and keeping tabs on people who are supposed to be here, and just checking in with them, saying, "Hey, are you coming to the meeting?" Blah blah blah. There are ways for us to sustain this and ensure that it is, growing the way that it should be growing. Mary, what are your initial thoughts on chapter 11?
Well, chapter 11 for me is very much just like a massive eye opener. Well, the first time I read it, it was a massive eye opener. The more I read it now, I look at the ways in which it's used in society to just overtake and dominate, just like going into the women's liberations and encouraging smoking cigarettes as a way of showcasing their masculinity and dominance and power. and its association with like people who rebel or go bad. Just basically the symbolism of power, how they capitalize off of it through movements, through understanding the psychological effects of how people can feel inadequate in society, and then capitalizing off that. All these fear-based issues that we deal with, I feel like that's what they prey into the most. And smoking is just a very big way that they've done it, because traditionally smoking can be used for meditation. It can be used as like medicine, depending on what you inhale. But we're just so fixated on tobacco and cigars and what is given to us, which is usually like lots of chemicals in it. We're just fixated on that mentality of it, and it literally comes from white supremacy. And Dr. Frances Cress Welsing does an amazing job at just breaking it down for us.
Yeah. Well, you and Ben said the unified field theory. Everything can be looked at as a direct or indirect result, our manifestation of racism, white supremacy. What do I want to say? Yeah, and even smoking. Like I just started us off, and Mary already kind of got us in. Smoking. I see people smoking cigarettes all the time in my work. I see a lot of non-white people walking around with little white sticks into their mouth. And I think it's very symbolic. I think it's very interesting that we have white people basically initiated and popularized cigarettes as a form of like a macho thing. Like you do this to be cool. You do this to stand out. And people don't even know that they're performing an act that is symbolically showing that these people they have a lot of insecurities around their genetics, and smoking is one of the ways it manifests via you're putting a carcinogenic white stick in your mouth, and it's literally killing your body. Whenever you inhale it, it's killing your body. And there's many versions of it. The white ones are skinny and small. The most pleasurable ones are the black ones, and the brown ones are long. If the most intelligent people smoke out of pipes, it's just endless symbolism. Any thought? Anyone got to say about that? Hello?
Well, just the fact that it's amazing how like they have popularized something that is supposed to symbolize uh, strength and power, I guess, or at least the desire for strength and power, and the pursuit of that through this activity that brings temporary gratification. I think it has to do with a temporary escape from the reality of their inadequacy and their
Yeah, just like I agree, Ben. I think sports and smoking are like a form of escapism because of the pleasure and the aroma. All these things is a form of escapism, and I think it's interesting that she mentions that a lot of powerful people um, have have like a intense relationship with smoking. For example, Fidel Castro, who was like one of the leaders of Cuba, was never ever seen or photographed without having a cigar in his mouth. And this is relevant because Fidel Castro considered himself white. Like he considered himself to be white, um, even though he was like a Cuban. I don't really remember how he looks at the moment. I always thought that he was a non-white person, but this man is calling him own self white, so I don't know what his actual race is. Um, she also talks about how JFK, before there was the embargo on Cuban cigars, he just ordered crates and crates of cigars because he knew they were about to be extinct. I mean, not be extinct. He knew they were about to be banned. And it was also documented that Winston Churchill, British commander or something. I don't really know what his role was. I know he was a war guy, but he even smoked roughly 300,000 cigars. So like this aspect of smoking is very, very, very important in the white supremacy system and culture. Um, yeah, it is a direct result of their understanding of the genetic inadequacy. Also, it's a self-negating. It's a self-negating practice. A lot of things in the white supremacy system and culture is self-negating. It goes against self-preservation. Um, yeah.
Yeah, there's a part that I would like to read out loud and just get everybody's thoughts on. This is on page 149. Just going into like the start of the paragraph. The white supremacy system culture is preoccupied most fundamentally not with profit, but with its genital and genetic status and survival on the planet. It is only logical that since this great survival concern is not discussed at the culture's conscious level, it manifests in other major behavior activity within the system culture, albeit largely at an unconscious, largely at an unconscious level. Thus, it is not surprising that these two important black and white symbol series, balls and smoking objects, should be central preoccupation that cannot be curtailed in spite of the violence in board games and the cancer associated with smoking. So like my thoughts on that is the fact that these things are both destructive to us in certain ways, like especially when you're smoking tobacco and commercial tobacco, which is straw, hay, all kinds of chemicals that they would put in it. So like for the in the nicotine, it's just very poisonous in a sense, and the violence that occurs in games, and like let's just say the fact that sport games are like literally nonsensical in the sense that they actually don't mean anything or go anywhere for us as a society on a global scale. So it's just as a distraction. One is like a psychological warfare and the other one is biological warfare, and it's no surprise that it's within white supremacy that these things are attacking and killing us. But my thoughts is just like, how do we as a people like avert from this? It's very wide, but yeah.
Go back in ancient Greece. And I don't know who started the Greece or the Romans started the Olympics. I think it was the Greeks. Um, and you had Hercules and all these mythological. Some were mythological, but they were real. The Olympic Games were real, and it was their attempt to establish like demigods, people that are not human, not God, somewhere in between, like held up higher than humans. And so in their attempt, it's actually a subconscious attempt to become God, to make people gods, and to play God, right? And so to to realize, to overcome, is to realize that we are gods and that we are divine beings, that we are actually replicas, little replicas of, not to get religious, but if we are the original, if Black people are the original people, for thousands of years, all that there was on this planet was Black people, then the solution would be to really internalize and accept that I am a divine being. I am one with, not a part of, like creation, like all that is. And so for me to participate in something, to escape from who I really am, is like Trey was pointing out, self-negating, it's self-destructive, it's self-eliminating. They're so good at this system that they put in place that they have convinced us to destroy ourselves uh, through smoking, uh, in an attempt to escape from who we really are. I don't, I'm starting to ramble. Maybe I'm sleepy or something, but um, um, what was it that I wanted to? I just read something. Oh, here it is. The sense of deficiency it's on the same page, 149. The sense of deficiency in male principle also may be expressed in terms of sensed inadequacy and therefore dependency, and male principle dependency need gratification. In sense adequacy and therefore dependency and male principle dependency need gratification. So because of their lack of of long-term joy, long-term security, long-term feeling of being of wholeness, we will they will they will engage in self-destructive behaviors for temporary gratification to escape from their feelings of inadequacy. Thus, the long cigar of Castro, the Italian, he called himself Italian. Yeah, he says Fidel Castro claims he has Italian heritage, but they're those people are they're Afro Latino, is what they are. You can look at his curly hair and his nappy beard. He's an Afro Latino.
No, I agree. I agree.
And the white supremacy all throughout the Caribbean, all throughout South America, is different than the white supremacy here. There, Mexico just mex means mixed, and so they encouraged the conquistadors and the Spanish and Portuguese conquistadors encouraged mixing with the indigenous people, whereas the English discouraged. They encouraged separation, and so the deeply white supremacist ideology of South Americans comes from their attempt to to in their view that the indigenous people are lower animals, similar to the white folks looking at us as lower animals, and that they're going to raise their civilization by mixing with them. So the whiter you are, the more civilized you are. The darker you are, the more uncivilized you are. And these people can't shake it. These Mexican, these Hispanic people is so deeply ingrained, they don't even know how deeply racist they are. Some of them.
I agree. Honestly, like this chapter is very, to me, is very short and very easy to grasp. I kind of said the points I wanted to say. Like white man compensating for genetic insufficiency via consuming smoking objects. A lot of powerful men have displayed their need to smoke, as far as to like before banning cigars, make sure he exported thousands of cigars for himself. Winston Churchill, warmonger, who smoked countless cigars. Well, not countless, over 300,000 cigars. Um, I'm down. If you guys have anything else to say about this, I'm down to end a tad bit early. It really depends on what you guys have to say. Mary, do you have any contributions or questions?
Just an expanse on my earlier question in terms of the fact that it's it's killing us and we are self-defecating ourselves. And just to really and truly, I just want to round off with us paying attention to this, and really and truly, it's just about practicing an alkaline diet at this point. Because how else do we undo the long-term damage that we do unto ourselves, but excel further and just try and escalate whatever we would have got naturally had we woken up to the white supremacist culture and lifestyle and diet earlier,
Like
not
that
to the
solution.
system of capitalism, you know.
I like that you get into the solution. You're looking for the solutions, and I agree. Just totally rejecting most of their culture, their diet, their practices that we find ourselves engaging in that are self-negating, that are self-destructive. I just this one funny paragraph, not funny, but just it is funny. It's on page 150 at the very top. Male homosexual acts of placing the penis in the rectum or in the oral cavity also achieves symbolically the results of internalizing and ingesting through gastrointestinal tract opening male substance. In this instance, what is internalized is the ejaculate, which parallels the inhalation of smoke and the swallowing of saliva when mounting a cigar or a pipe. so, so that's just interesting that she's comparing smoking to it sounds to me like, well, she said swallowing of saliva, but I mean, you know, I think let me just put it this way, and this is probably not even on topic, but I heard that one of the characteristics of a good wife is that she swallow, right? And I know this might not be appropriate, but it's like every time now that I see somebody smoking or that I smoke, if I smoke a joint myself, I smoke when I hit my weed, you get the euphoria, it changes the way you feel, and it should be a pleasurable experience, and it's extremely phallic. There's no question about it. It's, so yeah, I just found that a very a very deep analysis of smoking. That
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's deep. It's deep.
yeah. I was gonna say I agree. I agree with Ben said about how like the inhaling of the smoke is definitely central, and how like when I smoke, I do feel like a sense of coolness, and a sense of like calmness, and I am escaping from like my status as a powerless black male in the system of racism, white supremacy. But when a white person smokes a cigar, they're feeling the power of black superiority. They're feeling the power of having like that black penis and the black genes. That's what they're fantasizing about.
guess
Yeah,
I'd like to say my experiences. Like I'm having a conversation with my friend about smoking. It was actually Ruby. She was mentioning how um, feeling anxiety and stress like sits in your lungs. Like that is the energy center in which it sits in. And that's why smoking provides like a sensation or that cool and calmness towards your chest, and finding ways of relieving ourselves from the stress naturally would basically alleviate the need to smoke, apparently. But because everybody knows people do use smoking as a coping mechanism, but I know it can be used in ritual and on occasions for spiritual matters. And like Bob Marley used to smoke every day before prayer or something like that. But yeah, so the point I'm trying to make is disassociating it from the power play of white supremacy for ourselves, which will be fine. And if they want, they can continue smoking. But I feel like what everybody was saying before, just adding to that idea of it's embedded in everything, or that relationship with sex, or relating that sensation to now making it a black or white, or like a black annihilation or white annihilation relationship. It embeds into white supremacy. Everybody who contributes to it, it embeds in their mind to basically keep white supremacy going. It's the unified field theory in action, because yeah, just it makes you constantly think about sex through advertising, through dunking the ball, through any sport. They're constantly trying to make an association where you have your mind on sex, and of course it being a black and white thing.
yeah, that was profound, man. Wow. Deep subconscious mind control, subliminal messaging through whoever came up with that. I mean, whether it was deliberate or not, it was powerful. I was extremely, extremely addicted to cigarettes. And I think that they actually chemically compose certain cigarettes for black people, like Newports. I don't know any white people that smoke Newports. And they said those Newports were like the most addictive, damaging of all cigarettes.
Yeah, I want to say when I smoked, I never really like felt the nicotine or whatever, but I did. I just smoked cigs just to like to feel cool, it's something to do. It's something like to do while interacting with people, and me being conditioned by Hollywood and watching all my so-called old heroes like smoke a cigarette while killing people. I thought it was cool to me. So when I did start smoking for a short while, and that's why I was smoking, to be cool.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
All right. That's pretty much it. Like I said, unified field theory. All of this stuff is connected. Um, very short. It's a very short chapter. I do think I should just read this. To like hammer it in. I'm just gonna spare two things. The late British Prime Minister Winston Churchill was estimated to have smoked 300,000 8 or 9-inch double Corona cigars. John F. Kennedy also is reported to have loved Havana cigars, and Fidel Castro, who considered himself to be white, is never seen without a long cigar in his mouth. And then I'm gonna go to here, just the next page. The global white supremacy system is the evolved methodology of compensation for white male castration fears and anxiety of the fear of white genetic annihilation based upon white genetic insufficiency. This essay illuminates the major fallacy in the Western pattern of perception and thought, the failure to be able to recognize and decode the whole. Western perceptions are unfortunately limited and fragmented, tending towards ever higher levels of abstraction and isolation. What has been abstracted, but never fully consciously perceiving what has been abstracted in relationship to the whole. E.g., guns are always seen in their isolated abstractions, as are balls or smoky objects. This failure, if not refusal to perceive the whole, is the result of the repressed conceptualization of the white self as the albino mutant fragment of whole offspring from black whole progenitors. Thus, there is the inability to place the white self in a total perspective of the human family and the totality of the universe, without the omission of genetic defect, without the omission of the genetic defective status of skin whiteness. The white collective, therefore, must deny the meaning and reality of Africa as its own birthplace and to the point of its origin of civilization. So yeah, I mean, like all of this stuff is connected. Um, like they hold these little penis shaped things in their mouth because they're scared of someone doing as to what they've done to everyone they've met, castrating them and making it so they can't reproduce. They live in fear. They project everything out. Um, yeah, but that's my time.
Thank you so much for reading the outro.
Yeah, I had it highlighted. That what you read.
But yeah, no worries. Any final thoughts?
Or what I'd like to just conclude about summing up my experiences of reading chapters 9, 10, and 11 is more so the fact that we need to now retake control of the narrative, like especially with we do it to ourselves in terms of like I've made a conscious decision to stop using the word boy when I'm talking to black males in my life. Like it's just something like, you know, when you go boy, like I need to get that out of my system. And of course the B word and just things that we make colloquial now, seeing the intention behind it and just cleansing it from my mind completely and changing it with affirmations and more positive words, like the true word like negus, like if that the Ethiopian meaning black king, that like if I do want to say the N word, maybe I can replace it with that. Just finding ways of just bringing more positivity into the language, because etymology is extremely important and we've been bamboozled in that way the longest and strongest, which is why another reason why I'm really happy that I'm in Urugu, because that's a practical way of that the book club Urugu, because that's a practical way of relearning a new language and just cleansing my mental, and it's really helping. Like the more I read the book, the more like energetic I get in terms of certain words that I'm saying, using my tongue in different ways other than the basic ways that English limits me. So yeah, that's my summary: cleansing our thoughts and changing the narrative and educating people on sports and what it actually means, and trying my best not to pay any more energy or attention there and be more direct for the energy towards entertainment things that are beneficial to us, or coming up with solutions of real new games that we can play that to practice team building as opposed to competitive. Maybe.
Wow, thank you for that. That was incredible insight, um, coming up with the solutions. And just for me, you know, I just want to take this information and this energy and really focus more on the young people, catch them when they're young, and just continue to inform them of who they are and what they're really capable of. Not to say you can do anything, you can be anything. No, let me just tell you who you are, where you came from, and what your qualities are and what you're capable of. And so that's my goal right now, is to eventually be involved in starting a school to teach, catch them young.
Yeah.
That's what I got for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait until I'm able to get back into schools because like COVID, man, I was not aware of racism at the level I am now because I think it would have been a lot easier reaching my students with truth. I only had half truths, I knew I knew what was going on to my students was like racism, but I didn't know to call that racism white supremacy, and I didn't know it was also a genocide and how coded it was and how inferiorized we've been made under this system. Because and our lecture that I shared with her, and she says that when you teach children about what's going on, they'll say being inferiorized. I don't want to be inferiorized. Just how when we were younger, we didn't want to we knew that the knowledge we were gaining from the so-called education system was it wasn't the truth. It wasn't all of it. Slavery was just one small part of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Unified field theory, everything's connected. Yeah, is there any does anyone want to close this out?